We've got ones that can see. Welcome, everybody, to today's show. Robots race against humans for first time in a Chinese half marathon. Now, some of the footage I'll show you here is actually pretty comical, watching these robots malfunction, crash, fall to the ground. But we all know what this is really about. This is about the normalization of robots actually being a part of our society, as insane as it sounds. We know that Elon Musk is already pushing these humanoid robots for sale, where people can purchase these things, bring them into their home, have them cook you dinner and babysit your kids. And now we're seeing more and more, especially obviously from China, who really has a very sick fetish when it comes to robotics and artificial intelligence, as I'll get into later in the video. But there's actually now races occurring between robots and machines. They're trying to make it seem like, well, the humans are still the dominant force. They can't outrun one of these actual humanoid robots, because it makes people less fearful of having these things integrated into society, right? If the machines were sprinting and outracing humans, people would start saying, well, wait a minute, we don't need that. These races are for humans. But they kind of give you some footage that would make you laugh and make you giggle at the whole notion of this. But we know that the DARPA technology, that the government technology is far superior to what we're seeing actually rolled out in this race you're about to see. We know that the plan here is to begin normalizing the mixing of man and machine living in the same space. And of course, from there, it transitions to man and machine becoming one, because that's when super intelligence comes into play. Super artificial intelligence, which is about man and machine becoming one. But here is some of the footage out of China where the technology, I mean, you should see something like this and you would think how people in years past, how they would respond to seeing this. People from 200 years ago, 50 years ago, seeing this would say, absolutely not. Get this out of society. Who approved this? Who's allowing this to coexist with humanity? Oh, and then, by the way, these things are eventually going to take your jobs and kill off your family, as they've been showing us through predictive programming over the years. But here is the race that occurred in China.
In the race to develop robots that are smarter and faster, a test of sorts, pitting 12,000 runners beside 21 humanoids along a 13-mile course billed as the world's first half marathon starring machines.
Unlike the human runners here, the robots have a choice. They can have their batteries changed or just lie down.
While many of the human counterparts stopped to take selfies, the robots trailed from the outset. Some of them barely got started. One with propellers went out of control. Others fell apart, laying bare the challenges that still confront the industry here. That more than 20 robot companies participated shows that robot tech in China is pushing forward quickly, said the team leader for the winning humanoid. Tiangong finished in 2 hours, 40 minutes after 3 battery changes and 1 fall. We met Tiangong before the race.
He's saying hello. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
Yeah.
In a demonstration of what the company calls embodied intelligence that plants smarter AI into a more durable body with legs that function like human limbs over varied terrain. Next generations can look more lifelike with silicone skin, hair, and facial expressions.
What's your name?
The idea for humanoids to do jobs ranging from manufacturing and home repairs to companionship and caring for the elderly.
For a lot of people, this might be freaky. How do you get humans to accept robots as a fact of life?
We want robots to feel more real, says Wei Jiaxing, so people feel more comfortable around them. There's been a huge push behind humanoid robots in China. Videos of them dancing, performing, or doing kung fu have gone viral on social media here. China's government and state media promoting the industry as the next big thing, like the campaign behind Chinese electric vehicles. In this race, designers were urged to get creative. They screwed on sneakers and tracksuits or took off heads and fingers to minimize weight and overheating.
The CEO
says it's not about winning. It's about testing the batteries, which are the core technology here.
Seeing them up close is way different than seeing them on TV, says this runner, of the only half marathon where the also-rans got all the attention. At 74, these new things can open my eyes, she says. Ultimately, only 6 of the 21 competing robots survived, proving perhaps that people haven't completely lost to technology quite yet.
As runners line up in their race day best, one of these joggers is not like the others. Supporters in Beijing gathered Saturday to see off humanoid robots in a first-of-its-kind half marathon. These technological trailblazers shared the course with human runners who have come from across China to take part in the race.
I joined the humanoid robot marathon because I felt this is a global first. I flew here from Wuhan just to experience the atmosphere firsthand. I wanted to feel it myself.
Over the past week, robots and their engineering teams have arrived at the Beijing E-City, where they have made final preparations for race day in a specialized training area. Participants and organizers say they are excited about using new robotics technologies for real-world applications, and that the half marathon is an important step to getting humanoid robots on the market.
The marathon helps push humanoid robots one step closer towards industrialization. Getting onto the racetrack might seem like a small step for humans, but it's a giant leap for humanoid robots.
So you may have noticed as well, as I've screenshotted here, from some of the people who were interviewed on the streets who apparently think that this is a wonderful thing. People are flying in from other countries to come and witness this because they clearly have a lot of spare time on their hands. But if you notice that building in the background, of course, that was strategically done where you could see that black and white Masonic checkerboard floor over and over again in the backdrop. They clearly, obviously, that because this is a product given to us from these secret societies. So remember, China is also the same country where you see how into this they are, how excited they are about robots and machines racing one another. This is the same country that is okay with the social credit system. I've done videos on it in the past, showing you some of the news footage that they've put out there where they talk to citizens and they tell you how wonderful the social credit score is and how they tattletale on other people based on their behavior if they don't think that they're listening to what the government says. These people are completely under mind control, as most people are. But these people really in China take the cake for what it means to not even be human anymore because they're okay with the Chinese social score. But if I was actually, a participant in this race, obviously if I lived in China, I would probably have a credit score of 0 and be executed publicly in the street because of some of the things that I say and expose, as would the majority of you who listen to this channel. But if I was actually in this race, I think that, maybe it would look a little bit like this if I was racing against a humanoid robot.
No, wait! Not disassemble! I'm alive! No, please! I'm alive! No, do not kill me!
Johnny 5 is alive, right? And even recently, we're starting to see imagery from Xi walking around the streets of China with his own personal AI robot bodyguard. That's right, AI robot bodyguard. So they're showing us images like this in America because they're trying to use the propaganda machine to tell everyone out there that we need to catch up with China. We need to have this because China has this. And remember, we're America. We got to be the big bad bully. We got to be the alpha male. We got to make sure that China doesn't surpass us when it comes to AI and robotics, right? That's what we hear Donald Trump spewing. That's what we hear all of these politicians spewing, right? Telling us why we need AI and AI infrastructure, telling us why we need humanoid robots. Well, because China has them. And if China has an army of these robots, we need to have an army of these robots. And if China's president is protected by a bodyguard that's made up of AI robotics, then Trump needs one, right? And we've already seen it in America. Trump has the robo-dog patrolling Mar-a-Lago. I mean, this is only going to get worse and worse and worse. And it's incredible, really, when you watch some of the stuff that comes out of China. It's almost, in a sense, you see some of this stuff and you wonder if these people, some of these people that we see in these stories have souls, or even if they're human beings. Here's one. China influencer rents robot for $1,400 a day to do housework and go on dates with him. Humanoid cooks, cleans, helps with shopping, even does martial arts moves, but struggles to hold it together while dancing. Oh, shucks, right? He could do it all except dance. I can't imagine some of the other things not mentioned there that this guy is doing with the robot, but we already know that they're doing stuff like that with robots in China, right? Men in China are falling in love with their AI girlfriend, right? That's the future. These AI, imagery of artificial intelligence, designing your own girlfriend, right? Staying in the meta, staying inside your home, dating artificial intelligence. That's what's coming next. We all know that. In fact, you might remember I covered years ago a Chinese man who married a robot that he built himself. That's right. This guy married a robot that he built himself, and nobody put him in a paddy wagon. Nobody showed up and said, you're under arrest for being insane, or you maybe wouldn't be placed under arrest, because this, of course, would improve your credit score in China. This would give you a perfect score, probably. The more insane stuff you do, the more compliant you are to their enslavement system, obviously, the more you'll be rewarded. So President Xi probably attended this man's wedding that he had when he married the robot. And maybe the creepiest thing of all, if you haven't seen this before, this device that came out of China that allows couples to simulate kissing over their phones. One of the most creepy things you'll ever see. But obviously we know what this is really about. They tell you that they put these lips, they put this contraption on the phone. Let me just show it to you so you can see how embarrassing and how humiliating humanity has become.
Listen to this. A startup in China appears to have solved the woes of long-distance relationships.
The company has developed and patented a kissing device. Take a look. So the lip-shaped silicone device is said to mimic the pressure, movement, and temperature of a kisser's lips. The device works with a smartphone app and costs about $40. The machine can even transmit the sound that the user makes when they kiss. Looks creepy, but the company sold over 3,000 machines in just 2 weeks and is working to fulfill 20,000 orders. Now to weather.
I have no comment.
No.
Kate, how do you follow that?
Oh my, I can't follow that. I think I just need to go home and sleep it off.
Okay.
That is one of the creepier things I've ever seen on our air.
To each his own. That's all I'm going to say.
Yeah, to each his own. I guess so. That is something else. We are looking at a. Well,
and of course,
you know what?
this isn't
Anything
about
to get you through the day, right?
you having. I mean, first of all, if you're going to be talking to a loved one from a different state or country, you have a long distance relationship, and you're going to be FaceTiming, you really need to be doing this on your phone. Well, this is getting you even more connected to your technology. I mean, you're literally making out with the phone, are you not? It's an adapter that goes, it's like a selfie stick. It just attaches to the phone, and these people are French kissing their phone, sticking their tongue down the iPhone's throat. And they're like, isn't this great tech? And people are buying it, as you heard. A couple years ago, that story was out there. About thousands of people have already lined up to buy it. Well, more people have it now in China than you could possibly imagine. Now, they're not walking around the streets yet with this. This is something they do in the privacy of their home because it's obviously extremely disturbing, right? What are they doing? They're sanitizing this thing, washing it in the sink, then they're calling up a loved one and they're just closing their eyes and French kissing their phone, right? Sticking their tongue down their phone's throat, which sounds insane to even say. And it's even more than this, right? We know there's more intimacy going on with these people who are buying these robots and bringing them into their home, because that's really what the goal of all of this is making people closer with their tech. Now we're merging technology to the point where, hey, we're going to have a marathon. There's going to be robots. And what's next? We're going to have a baseball game where we're going to have a pitcher for one of the teams that's a robot? Probably. I mean, you already see what's happening even in sports. All of this stuff that you hear, if you're a casual sports fan or not, you've probably heard how people always are debating about the referees. Was that a strike or a ball? Was that a touchdown or a flag? They've made this thing into like this huge like obsession with people about every little thing that happens in a game because people are so obsessed with their team. And then they blame it on what? They blame it on a human, a ref. They're already integrating having robotic referees that don't make mistakes. Baseball's already integrated a strike zone that is artificial intelligence so that the human error can be removed, because it's so important. If a ball is really a strike, well, that's life-changing, right? Especially now that they've normalized gambling so much, which is another thing that drives me insane, seeing all these commercials, as you probably see on all these YouTube channels, that normalize gambling. It's incredible, right? These same people will come on TV and lecture you about smoking a cigarette, having a drink, all this other stuff with behavior. They're endorsing, like ESPN and all these mainstream media outlets are endorsing gambling, which is one of the worst addictions known to man, which literally could cause somebody to lose everything that they have and ruin and destroy a family. But of course, they've normalized that. So part of why they've normalized gambling isn't just to kill off the middle class, make more people broke, but also because that's making people who are betting on these games ask for technology to be implemented, because they don't want to lose a bet because some referee might have money on the game or some umpire might have money on the game, and we need the AI to oversee the referee and make sure that if it's a strike, it's called a strike and not a ball, right? So technology is going to continue to get normalized into our society with stuff like this. And again, they showed you that race and they showed you some of the comedy in the race, which, these things going haywire, running into walls and laying down napping in the middle of the race, because they can't show you a T2 running a race with a human and the T2 completely destroying the human being. Because people might go, this is a problem. This probably isn't good. We don't need them taking away our marathons now. These should be all human marathons. So they go, oh, it's no big deal. Let them put their robots in, and then we'll start seeing it in the New York City marathons probably. And people will have a good chuckle. And then the next year, maybe they'll do a little bit better, even though they could obviously already have these things defeat human beings pretty easily, right? Changing out their batteries as if they're getting tired in the middle of the race. It's really comical, but it's scary. It's scary because we're allowing this to happen. We're allowing these people who they call themselves scientists to push this technology into our lives, into our society, where they're saying, hey, they made this in a laboratory over in Silicon Valley, and now it's going to take away your husband or your son's job at a factory, and now they won't be able to put food on the table for their kids, right? We need to stop this from moving forward, but they're just normalizing it more and more every day. And that's one of the reasons, if the media talked about the dangers of tech, if the alt-right media came out and talked about the dangers of tech and where we're headed with tech, then people would push back. That's why they don't bring it up. They only talk about it if they're talking about it to sell it to you, right? Like I covered with Ben Shapiro in the Daily Wire, wearing the Apple Vision Pro, telling you it's the coolest thing they've ever seen, telling you that they put them on and they were in Maui and it was wonderful, right? Getting the audience to continue thinking that, well, technology couldn't have anything to do with the mark of the beast. Technology isn't bad for us. It's advancing us. What's not advancing us is these crazy Democrats who think that men should be playing women's sports. That's all they care about. That's all they care about, as this continues to get more and more normal, where you look at China and you say, well, everything happening in China is coming here, because it is. The way China is set up is the way that the global government's going to be set up. Social credit scores, eventually your carbon footprint, which ties into that. Robots protecting the president now as bodyguards. You got people marrying robots, dating robots, paying robots $1,500 or paying someone $1,500 a day to rent a robot to take it on a date, but unfortunately it can't dance, but it could do everything else that sicko wants it to do, I'm sure. And then, of course, putting things like a kissing device on the phone. Yeah, they're not normalizing technology and getting people addicted, obsessed, and creepy with it, where eventually we know humans and tech will merge as one, and most of these people will be dating avatars and artificial intelligence in the future. They already are doing it now, right? Telling you that, hey, it's a horrible out there. The dating scene's horrible, right? How many of these stories over the years recently have we heard about, well, there's a website where you could find somebody based on politics now. Well, you don't want to, a Republican doesn't want to date a Democrat, right? We heard about it during the outbreak. Oh, is this person vaxxed or not, right? Each side didn't want to date the other based on if their vax status, right? And they're telling you more and more and more that relationships are just not working in today's world because they're the ones who are dividing everybody and making everybody a narcissist, right? So create your own perfect artificial intelligence girlfriend or boyfriend for your narcissistic self, so that it could do all the things that you want it to do without annoying you or irritating you. And then, of course, you involve the lust aspect of it, and then you want to throw up all over yourself. But that's the world that we're living in now. So Johnny Five's alive. Now Johnny Five and all these robots are actually running races with humans. And of course, like I said, we see it coming to America. The integration into sports and other things will continue because nobody's pushing back against it. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.